Talk to me, Michael. Talk to me. How do you think that game went today?
I'm stressed, man.
You're still stressed?
Yeah. That's why I opened the beer. Come on, no, in all seriousness, because like I don't want to make this whole like calling about the referee, so I will get this like quickly off my chest, right? Red card, fine, no issues with that, right? That's the only good decision that they made during that match. I don't understand how some of those bookings were bookings. I kid you not, I checked like the SofaScore statistics, right? And at one point, I think in like the 60th minute, Forest committed like 12 fouls, no yellow cards. We committed 9, and we had a red card and four yellow cards. Like,
yeah.
And listen, people can make the point about our team being like not this like the lack of discipline, right, in our team. But at some point, I feel like I'm repeating myself because it's not the first game where I feel like we've been like heavily penalized for making like some at times soft tackles, right? Again, no issue with Bissouma red card, right?
Agreed,
Definite red. As soon as I saw it, it was definitely a red, right? But for example, the most egregious one for me was the Udogi yellow card. And ironically, it's the most important because he is suspended for Everton, right? But he literally shoulder barged the guy. Like, ever since I started playing football, every coach told me that you can shoulder barge people, right? You can't push them, you can't, sweep their legs, you can't just, pull the shirt, but you can shoulder barge because that's just fighting for the ball with your body, right? You are not using your hands, you are just using the strength of your body, right? So it's ridiculous for me to get booked for that. And on top of that, I think Yates was the guy who was fouled by Udogi, right? He does this to the referee. As far as I'm concerned, it's supposed to be a yellow, right? Yeah. Literally 3 minutes later, Davies gets elbowed in the face by Elanga and no yellow card. Like, it's getting ridiculous. It's like, it's not like, I'm not bitching about us getting yellow cards, right? It's the opposition not getting them, right? I think I've made the point talking. I don't remember who I was talking to. I think it was like Res or maybe someone here, right, on your channel. I think I made the point that it's not only about like penalizing the player, but also if a player is on a yellow card, they sometimes won't make a challenge, cannot stop your counter attack. Like, it gives you advantages in the game, right? When the midfielder is on the yellow and you are springing on with a counter attack, he cannot stop you because he will get a red card, right? So I'm just like advocating for like fair and square judgment of the fouls, right? I don't mind us getting 4 yellow cards if Forest also get 4 for some of the like absolutely ridiculous fouls that they made, right? I think Sonny was fouled like 6 times during like the first 60 minutes. Poro got his ankles scraped like 3 times by 3 different players. No yellow cards. I got it off my chest. Let's maybe talk about the game, right?
Yeah, just to finish off that point, I actually think that referee was taken in by like the atmosphere of the Forest fans. So it just seemed to me like every time we made a foul, the Forest fans really reacted in a way like it was what it should be, a yellow card, and the referee really fell for it. And that's kind of like really old school refereeing. It used to be called being a homer. And it's like, it really seemed to me like he fell for that. And maybe, I don't know much about that referee, but it seemed like he kind of lacked the experience or the strength to deal with that.
It took 82 minutes for them to book a Forest player today. 82 minutes, where in the first half alone, they probably could have had about 3 bookings. And not on top of that, you talk about the Udogi booking, right? Which wasn't a booking by any stretch of the imagination. Cuti Romero did something, I think, about 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after that, which was 100% a booking, in my opinion, and he wasn't booked. So, I mean, I don't know what this ref was on today. But look, Michael, go on. Let's talk about the game.
Yeah, so, like with the game itself, right? I think in the first half, we again, like, we again faced the opposition that just set up in a low block, with 2 men up top, like waiting for a ball to be sprayed to them, right? And I think again we found ourselves like lacking the ideas to break down the opposition, right? And I think it's partially because we didn't really have like a creative hub in the middle, especially when Brennan Johnson got subbed off, because Kulusevski had to move out wide, right? So in the middle, I think we lacked that like killer through pass, or, some creativity that, for example, Kulusevski, Lo Celso, or Madison would provide if they were there, right? But thankfully, like a godlike cross from Kulusevski, who, by the way, like I'm jumping the gun. He is definitely my man of the match. Like absolutely amazing performance by him. Again, like I think it's like a fourth or fifth in a row that he performed really really well, right? But with the first half, right? I am so glad that we scored the goal, because I think if you went into the second half with a 0-0 scoreline, it would have been a long day. It would have been a really long day if we didn't manage to score. But then again, like first half, okay, we come out on top, right? But the second half, I feel like what I've noticed with our team so far this season is that we often get drawn into those like really stupid, childish, like physical battles of just I kicked you, you kick me, like eye for an eye, whatever, right? I just I just have a feeling that with the quality of our players, I feel like we should be I'm not saying we should just let the opposition foul us and not react in some way, right? Because that's how you deal with opposition being aggressive, right? You also have to leave something yourself, right? But I just feel like we are like too easily drawn into this, like, again, as I said, like kick for a kick, eye for an eye. It's honestly ridiculous, right? And listen, absolute brain fart by Bissouma, and honestly, it's kind of like a cherry on the really stinky cake of his performances recently. Like I really like the player. I think for the first 10 games he was really really good, apart from Luton, right? But ever since like he started like dropping in and out of the team because of the suspensions, and like his performances dropped off really really, like really really hard, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, like this was just cherry on the top of the cake, right? I really think, even though like don't mind the red card itself, right? I think he was pretty bad this game, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and it's worrying. It's worrying. Yeah, yeah. Go on, Barnaby. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Can I just make a point about like what you were saying in terms of Bissouma? Do you think he is in danger of losing his place in the team because of these kind of digressions and mistakes that he's making, or do you think he will be straight back in after the AFCON?
I think he should sit like 1, 2, or 3 games on the bench after he comes back. I feel like he reached the point where he has to take accountability for his like on-field decisions, right? Because like I don't think it's anything malicious, right? It's not like he wanted to hurt the player, or he's just like a screw got loose, and he just wanted to injure someone or whatever, right? But still, you need to be responsible, especially when we are so injury ravaged, right? I think I even spoke with you, Barnaby, about this, right? I think that he doesn't handle responsibility well,
Right.
and I think that's something that Ange already pointed out in the preseason, and I think after like a couple of first games. I feel like when he's given the freedom and the responsibility is taken off his shoulders by the likes of Madison or the likes of Van de Ven, Romero, people around him give him the security to do his own thing. I feel like he's an amazing player then. But I think because he is now in this midfield, the senior one, right? He needs to take the responsibility on his shoulders. I think he struggles in that situation, and I think it's yet again like no need to do that. Like similar thing with Man City game, right? I think he just feels the pressure of I need to do something. I need to I need to fight for the ball. I need to bail out my team, and then he just loses his head and does something stupid. And I'm a bit worried about that, but I hope that when we get our players back, that he will get this security that he had at the beginning of the season back, right? But still, I think after AFCON ends and after he comes back, especially if like Højbjerg performs like up to a certain standard, I think Højbjerg should be playing as a first teamer for like a couple of games, and I think Bissouma should have been like eased in, should be eased in, right?
Brave. You're a brave man saying that in front of a captive audience of Tottenham Hotspur fans.
Because I don't think, like, after what he's done today, I don't think it would be like wise to show the team, listen, you can do dumb shit and you are just straight back into the team, right? I think he needs to take responsibility for that, for what he did today.
Good point.
Because I think it was a complete like head loss, and I think it was a stupid tackle to make.
Michael, I actually said the same thing before the West Ham game. I think it was. I don't know if you saw the preview, but I was saying that that Bissouma's not playing well enough. And it goes back all the way to the Luton game, and I don't think he's played well at all since that Luton game. And I felt that Højbjerg should have come in the number 6 for the West Ham game. Obviously, that didn't happen, and Bissouma had a much improved performance in the Newcastle game, the game after that. So I felt like he did earn his spot back. But I think it should be a meritocracy in the squad, and I feel like if players aren't playing well, then that's why you have competition in the squad, and we should use the competition. And I don't think Højbjerg is playing well, to be honest, at the moment. So so we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment, but actually we're not, because Bissouma's not available till after the AFCON anyway.
We're stuck between a skip and a hard place.
Yeah, exactly.
A skip and a Højbjerg.
We're stuck between a skip and a Højbjerg, but let's talk about something positive now, and a player who's going the other way to Bissouma, a player that is growing within this Spurs team, which is Richarlison. 3 goals in his last 2 games, much improved performances. He looks much more free on that pitch at the moment. So what do you make out of Richarlison at the moment, and is he playing his way into your good books at the moment?
Yeah, so like I think at least I'm trying to be fair to all players, right? And if I see lack of quality, I will call it out. But if I see like good performances and doing things well on the pitch, I will also give credit for it, right? And I've always maintained, I don't think like Richarlison is a good footballer in terms of like, you know, the ball control, you know, passing, all those things that Harry Kane was so brilliant at, right? Like he will never be Harry Kane, but that's no like no disadvantage to Richarlison. Harry Kane is in a league of his own, right? But all I want from my striker is to score goals, right? So if the guy is scoring goals, I'm not going to like blame him for, you know, for other things, right? If he keeps slapping one in every game, then I'm fine with it, right? I am fine with him playing if he actually like contributes to the team. My biggest issue with Richarlison was that he kept missing open nets, open goals. He couldn't really hit a target in the first 10 games.
Yeah.
There were some opportunities where all it took was just to, you know, shoot it on the target, right? And he couldn't do that. So that's why I was criticizing him then. But right now, I think, especially with those 2 performances, he scored the goals. He deserves to play, right? And it doesn't change the fact that I think we should bring another striker in, just for the sake of competition even, right? As we said, boys, I think competition is healthy for players. So when Richarlison drops off, there is someone to step into his place, right?
It's going to be very difficult. Sorry to interrupt, Michael, but it's going to be very difficult in January to find a striker at a price point that we'd be willing to pay, surely.
Yeah. I'm not even talking like good point. I'm not talking about January. I don't think we'll bring in a striker, maybe a winger, but I think striker is off the books. But in the summer, for example, I think we should like chase a striker, someone like, you know, Santiago Jimenez or someone else, right? Just to be there to either displace Richarlison when he is not playing well, or like light a fire under his ass, right? For him to perform better. And listen, massive shout out to Kulusevski, because like he's been getting a lot of slack in the first like 10 to 12 games for not contributing like offensively. And right now, like today, a goal and an assist against Newcastle, goal and assist, right? Or 2 assists. My mind is going blank. Against City,
Newcastle.
Sonny had 2 assists against Newcastle and a goal, didn't he? But Decky was involved.
I think
against Newcastle, no, I don't think he got a goal contribution against Newcastle, but he played very well.
Yeah, but again, like basically, really good.
I really love him in the 10. I was gutted when Johnson went off, because I think he was taking up some amazing positions in that kind of 10 role.
Yeah, like some of the flick-ons and that back-to-goal play that he performed in that match against Nottingham Forest was really, really good. I really, as you said, Barnaby, I really like him in the middle. But I also think like today after he went out wide, I think he actually performed really well out
Yeah.
wide, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant cross, brilliant goal that he has taken. But also, I have to say one thing because I've been listening to other callers, and I promise I know you have to move on, but I promise last thing, right? I've seen a lot of praise today for Skippy. I actually want to say that I wasn't really impressed by what I saw today. I think like okay, he provided energy and the legs, right, to run around and and chase the balls. And I guess there were like a couple of things that he did well, especially that ball that he shielded with his body, and then rose up and played on. Like that was really good. But other than that, I think in certain situations he showed us the old skip, the contest skip, right, which was always playing it safe, rather play it to the back or to the side rather than forward. And I think we even with 10 men we had a couple of opportunities where a player of a more like offensive mind would play the ball forward, right? So honestly, if Ange finds a way to not play skip against Everton, I know it's really harsh, but I would rather like play with a midfield of, for example, Højbjerg, Sar, and Kulusevski, and put Brian Hill out wide, rather than skip in the middle and Kulusevski out wide. I think we would benefit more if Kulusevski was in the middle and Sar and Højbjerg played in his place. I know it's a bit harsh. Yeah.
But Michael, talking about Brian Hill, has he shown you anything in the 2 games that he has played? Anything more than an Ollie skip?
Honestly, no.
Exactly.
It's really like I don't know the English saying, right? But it's really like being like between 2 walls, right? It's one option is not really that good, but the other one is also like kind of meh. But the reason why I'm saying I would prefer Kulusevski in the middle because I think he provides us that creative spark. And I think if we put him out wide and we play a midfield of Sar, Skip, and Højbjerg, right? Because
Lo Celso might be back as well, though.
I'm assuming that Lo Celso won't be back. If Lo Celso is back, then definitely Lo Celso in 10 and Kulusevski out wide, right? But if we assume that Lo Celso won't be available, we don't know, right? We will find out. But assuming he's not available, I would rather have Kulusevski in the middle because he provides us with offensive like opportunities. And I think Højbjerg and Sar are playing better than Skip, right? So on that merit, I think I would prefer, as I said, Sar, Højbjerg, Kulusevski in the middle, right?
Michael, but it's not only in that area of the pitch that we need to talk about, because we need to talk about the left centre back and the left back with Udogie being out. How do you navigate that situation?
Oh my god, it's so like I honestly I don't envy Ange. Like seriously, the guy has been performing out of his mind for the first 10 games, and ever since that Chelsea game, it's repeatedly like everything thrown at his feet. Like like hey, listen, you think you are doing well? Nah, here is another like
This is Tottenham, mate. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, but I think what will happen is Royal will play left back, and I'm not really too happy about it. But I think it's the safest option, honestly, because Davies performed really, really well as a centre back for the past like 2, 3, 4 games, and I think like it's hard to say, but the partnership that he has formed with Romero, I would rather not break that. I think if they are actually like performing well together, then I think I can stomach like Emerson Royal on the left, and I would rather not break the Davies Romero partnership, right? Because like the other option is probably either Dyer or Dorrington or Royal playing as a centre back and Davies out left, right? But I think I'm much more convinced by Davies's performances in the middle rather than him out wide. I think he played out wide against Wolves, right? And he was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So
But the fact this one's at home. This one is at home though, so it might be it might be that Emerson's not quite as dreadful at left back because he won't be as. I don't think the opposition will be quite as in his face as they were maybe at Molineux.
I think this Everton game will be a complete shit show. Like,
Say how you really feel, Michael.
I have to be honest, right? I think. By the way, I don't know how much did you watch Everton, right? But I think they are actually playing really well.
They're playing brilliantly at the moment.
Yeah, like they are 4 out of 5. Won, and the one loss that they had was 3-0 against United, which is the fakest 3-0 I have ever seen. Like this game should never be a 3-0, and I think Everton played really well and deserved to get something out of that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are facing a really like physical, energetic Everton team, and I think we have much more quality in the side, even with all the injuries. I think they have like solid, hard-working players, but they are not really like, you know, they won't spin you and, you know, 1v1 demons. No. You know, that's not Everton's game, right? So I think if we show enough quality in the forward line, we can seriously punish them, and I think we can easily score goals against them. I'm just really worried about like us playing out of the back, and I think they will pressure us a lot when we have the ball, because that's what they do, right?
I think it might also end up being a audition for Jared Branthwaite, who Spurs have been linked with, who I really like as a centre half. I've been very impressed with him this season. And let's face it, over the last few seasons and with their financial fair play issues, Everton have had to sell players, so he could be one that we look to get in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also impressed by Branthwaite. I had a sneak peek of this Dragusin guy from Genoa that we are linked to, and I actually quite like him. I think, again, this might sound like a cliche, but I think if our scouting department and Ange point to this guy and say that he's good enough to come, then I'm all for it, right?
Me too.
I don't mind that he's from Genoa or that he's Romanian, or, you know, that some English fans will struggle with his surname. Sorry, I have to call you out on this one.
But Michael, any diamonds in the rough out in Poland that we should be targeting?
In terms of centre backs or at all?
Centre backs, left wing, striker, anyone.
So, like, I think in terms of senior players, not really. I think we now in Poland are facing kind of like a change of generations, right? So that Euro 2016 side, that was really, really good. Most of them are either retired or about to retire. And I think we have a lot of young talent that's coming through, but they are not at the level, I would say, to play for a team like ours. Maybe a bench option. But if I were to highlight someone, I think, first of all, Sebastian Szymański, he plays for Fenerbahce. I know it's Turkish league, right? But he's absolutely slapping it there. I think he has something like 12 or 13 goal contributions, and he plays as a center attacking mid. The other guy is Jakub Kamiński. He plays for Wolfsburg, on a left wing. And I think he's really, really rough and inexperienced, but I see some talent there, right? So those would be the two that I would like to highlight. And maybe Nikola Zalewski from Roma. Cool. He plays like a wing back, sort of winger, like more defensive winger. So those would be the 3 young players that I would highlight. But I still don't think they are. It's not like they will come and displace one of our players.
Michael, I'm just relieved you didn't say Poland's Matty Cash.
Listen,
please tell me you hate Matty Cash as much as we do.
Like, big up to him for choosing Poland over England, right? Because we seriously lack quality in that area. But fuck Matty Cash for that follow. Seriously, like.
So Polish.
Michael, yeah, I did see the Roma wing back out in Israel actually when Spurs played Roma. I think it was beginning of last season. I was actually really impressed with him. But Michael, thank you so much for coming on today.
Top man, Michael.
And we'll speak to you next time.
Always pleasure speaking with you. Come on, you Spurs.